We're not white trash. We're just poor, you know?
Welcome to the Service to Syndication podcast, where we interview the biggest and most successful real estate entrepreneurs, investors, capital raisers in the world who have worn the uniform of this great country, those who provide services to our men and women in uniform, and other service-oriented professionals to provide you with the tool sets, the mindsets, and the skill sets to help you conquer your dreams and goals in real estate and to use this wealth creation vehicle so you can live a more successful, happy, and fulfilled life of generosity and prosperity. If what you desire is time, lifestyle, and financial freedom, you've come to the right place. We will bring to you the best real estate entrepreneurs who will give you the insights, the knowledge, experience, skills, so you can go out and crush it in whatever real estate asset class you desire. So grab a pencil and paper, sit back, and enjoy the ride on the Service to Syndication podcast. Hello, my servicemen and women and other service providers. Welcome to another episode of the Service to Syndication Real Estate podcast. I am your host, Cedric Marlowe. I am a U.S. Navy vet, and here on the Service to Syndication Real Estate podcast, we interview the most successful real estate entrepreneurs, investors, capital raisers in the world, where most have donned the uniforms of our great country. We aim to provide the tool sets, the mindset, skill sets for you to achieve your personal and business goals while using real estate as a wealth creation vehicle to help you live a more successful, happy, and fun-filled life. Everyone, today I have with me Mr. Jesse Sells, who is a top-notch real estate investor and multifamily impact entrepreneur. But before I properly introduce our exciting guest to you, I want to ask a favor of you. Please, if you get some value out of this interview, if you get some type of insight, mindset shift, if you learn a new skill, new information, receive inspiration or motivation to go out and take some progress in your life, please share this episode with some of your friends. Send it to someone you know who might be or could be interested in real estate. Share it on your social media, post it on your wall, and share it in your stories. Help us spread our message while you help others. And for all of you who share this episode, please, I want to say thank you. Again, everyone, I have with me Mr. Jesse Sells. Jesse is the co-founder and chief operating officer of Impact Growth Capital, where he manages the daily operations of a diverse portfolio of properties and companies. With a strong passion for creating meaningful change, Jesse connects strategic vision with concrete results. Before starting his entrepreneurial journey, Jesse had a remarkable career as a combat aviation advisor and intelligence analyst in the Air Force Special Operations. He spent years briefing 3-star and 4-star generals and deploying alongside foreign military partners. Jesse's experience fostered a unique blend of leadership, cultural intelligence, and strategic communication. Instead of working at a DC think tank, Jesse chose to become an entrepreneur. He co-founded Impact Growth Capital, where he utilizes his previous experience to identify opportunities for developing and transitioning properties into high-quality, affordable living spaces. His goal is to create a greater social and economic impact through these initiatives. Jesse is now deeply immersed in impact investing, where he leverages his leadership skills and operational expertise to develop innovative solutions that promote sustainable change. All right, Jesse, first thing that I like to do with my guests is have you to summarize your real estate journey in 75 seconds or less, and then we'll unpack all of that.
Awesome. What an intro, first off. So appreciate it, Cedric. Yeah, a lot there. So real estate journey. I mean, growing up, I was, always doing rehabs in homes. I remember specifically being 12 years old on a metal roof, trying to get this thing in, storm blowing in, raining, sheets shaking while the wind's coming in, my dad falls off the roof. So just my whole life, I knew like what it meant, what the power of real estate was, because it's flipping homes. You can move yourself forward. Worked with several rehab companies growing up. When I left the military, I knew the power of real estate, but I didn't know how to really capitalize on it. You know, you flipped some homes in the military, you moved around, did that a few times, made some money, lost a lot of money, you know, as one does, flipping homes. But then after, you know, attending YouTube University, reading every book I could get my hands on to figure out what a syndication was. And the rest is history. That was about 7 years ago. We started Impact Growth Capital, focusing on impact. We've done about 26 syndications. We're actually doing our first fund right now, which is a P3 private public partnership with a major city, but we've talked about that.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. We'll
journey.
definitely talk about that. Yeah. I, kind of peek behind the curtains as I always do with my guests. And I'm quite impressed with, what you guys are doing with that. But of course, we'll definitely do that. So Justin, you had an impressive military career as a combat aviation advisor and intelligence analyst. What keys from that experience have you carried into your role as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so my experience and how I carried it forward. One of the biggest things I think as an entrepreneur we all face is imposter syndrome. We look at these Elon Musk, we look at these CEOs, and we think there's no way I could ever do that, right? And it's just, you self-limit. I uniquely had this awesome opportunity. I was Air Force intelligence guy. I was enlisted, so I was like an E4 at one point when I went to the headquarters, and I had the opportunity to go brief generals and way high ranking. I had no business being there, Cedric, I'll be honest with you. But for some reason I got the job, and you quickly learn that we're all just people, right? Yes, their responsibility is way more than anything I could fathom, and their decision-making tree was different. But we're all just people, and it makes it more attainable. Learned this time and time again. He agreed. What do you guys say?
Man, that's amazing. But one thing I do want to just reiterate something you said, which is very impactful. At the end of the day, whether they're 3-star generals, the president of the United States, they're still just people. And as long as you can communicate with those people that are on the other side, then things are going to go smooth, or should go smooth for the most part, so.
Yeah, should the key word there. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me back up just a little bit. So what prompted you to join the military?
I didn't know what I was doing in my life. As a kid, they had a lot of pressure, go to college, figure out your career, and didn't know what to do. And I know, I've got a lot of 30 nephews and nieces, I talk to them all the time about this. And I wish I could shake myself and just say, just choose a direction, right? Because you want everything to be perfect, but there's no perfect direction that's going to change. Just choose the way to go. But I was aimless. So I knew I wanted to go to college, didn't have the money to go to college, kind of grew up in a lower class family, and couldn't get fast or anything. So I ended up joining the military mostly for that. And then I just fell in love with what I was doing. Ended up staying in for 11 years until my special operation unit, combat aviation advisors, got shut down, RIP. I had to just choose either go back to Big Blue Air Force or get out. So I said, no.
So what inspired you to pivot from that type of career, or potential career in DC, to co-founding Impact Growth Capital?
So the primary driver for co-founding Impact Growth Capital to starting syndications, I'll be honest, in the beginning, it was all financial freedom, right? My family was poor. I still have brothers and sisters that are living paycheck to paycheck. And it's just been a struggle. We've had that poor mindset my whole life. I remember as a kid seeing somebody with a brand new F-150 and being like, man, those guys are wealthy, and I never achieved that. So we had that mindset growing up. So I honestly just wanted financial freedom. It turned into we can actually make a huge impact for veterans, for people that leave formerly incarcerated. We have this huge impact on society and our communities. But in the beginning, it was just for financial freedom for me and my family.
So now, can you share your mission and vision behind Impact Growth Capital, and what sets it apart from traditional real estate investment firms?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. What sets us apart, our company, primarily is we are impact focused. So what does that mean? I talk to people all the time that say, oh, we're impact focused, but it's solar. Solar's great, but it doesn't matter to the single mom with kids who needs to put food on her table, right? 66% of the population live paycheck to paycheck. So we focus only on affordable housing. We provide these wraparound services for people, whether that's giving their kids rides to school, after school programs to the Boys and Girls Club, food drives, mental health treatments, ESL courses, whatever we can get our hands on to actually provide impact to make a difference for our residents. And what we find is there's secondary and tertiary effects of this, where schools actually go higher. their levels go up. And we also find that, our turnover is way lower than everybody else. So it actually makes sense to do this, financial sense for us. That actually pays to be a good guy, especially right now with the housing crisis. Affordable living is absolutely insane. This is the opportunity in real estate right now, is this taking advantage of this affordable housing crisis, providing good, clean, safe living opportunities for people. This is where everybody should be focused and doing it the right way. It's not just solar.
Right. Right. Yeah, I love that about, you guys' mission. It's not just about the dollar that you can make. You guys have now found and understood that there's this affordable housing crisis here in the US, and you guys have intentionally decided to focus your efforts there to help those people that would be affected, the workforce type housing people that needs a great roof over their head in order to raise their family. And I commend you guys for that. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And so now, how do you identify properties or projects that align with your goal or creating both social and economic impact?
Yeah. So naturally, we stick with Class C properties primarily. We do have like 6 mobile home parks right now too, because that's literally the last bastion of affordable housing. And they're great investments cash flow wise. So we look at Class C properties. Right now, we're finding that there are a ton of great deals out there. Right now is a great time to buy. There's all these people that bought in 2020, 2021, when the market was amazing, and then now they're upside down. It's like $500 billion worth of loans are coming due this year alone. I looked at the statistic, it's like right around 20% of them, a little lower, are upside down. Like the properties aren't even worth the amount of the loan. So they're all getting repossessed by these banks, dealerships. And we're finding that a lot of banks, they don't want to run these properties. So they're selling them at discounts just to get this off their books, stop bleeding. So we're finding amazing opportunities in DFW and Las Vegas. We're primarily looking at just right there.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because that's the one thing. Banks are not in the real estate business, Yeah, they're willing to make that loan all day long. The last thing they want to do is have to take it back. And again, because that's a debt that's sitting on their books and they just want to roll it off at, I can't say any cost, but a cost that at least makes sense for them, and where primarily it becomes a win-win for both the investor who's buying it and for the bank to be able to roll it off of their books as it's
Absolutely.
So many investors focus solely on financial returns. Now, how do you balance profitability with making a meaningful difference in communities?
Yeah, exactly. So it sounds oxymoronic that say, hey, we're focused on impact and bleeding heart, right? No, we'll evict people all day long because they're dangerous, because there's drugs, there's traffic, issues. But people deserve a clean, safe place to live. So we focus on the people that are givers, that are actually like good human beings that deserve that living situation, kick out all the bad people, and then provide the wraparound services, which again, like these actually help them pay rent. Like I said, over 60% of the population is paycheck to paycheck. So if something happens, like your car breaks down, or a medical bill, or your kid wants to do cheerleading, right? You're choosing between groceries and rent. Most people are going to choose groceries, right? So by providing these wraparound services, which are all over the place, you just got to do the legwork to find them. Or we have our own, we just started our own charity to help some people as well. You're actually helping yourself. You're keeping the good people in your apartment complex. And when you have good people, they tell other people, and then you get more and more good people. And our turnover is like, rate is like 40%, retention rate is 60. Yeah, much higher than the average.
Yeah. Finding those wraparound services are very key, especially when you're dealing with this segment of the population. And that's the one thing that I don't think a lot of people really understand, that there are services out there for people. The hardest part is what you said, doing that legwork to go out there and find it,
Yeah, absolutely. And some of these, like we talked about it offline earlier, but we work a lot with formerly incarcerated people. And if you don't know, the Thurmond Act is up for repeal right now in Congress. A lot of these people, some of our partners in our company, they were formerly incarcerated. Now they can't even get on a lease. So what do? So when you talk about recidivism, like if you can't get on a lease, you can't find a job, what are you going to do? You're going to go back to doing what you know, or you shouldn't do, but you have no other options. By working with different groups, wraparound services with case managers that take care of them. I don't like Section 8 personally because it's like a free check from the government. Sounds great on paper for investors. You probably heard people, listeners, that Section 8 is awesome. You get a mailbox money. Oh, those people also bring a lot of issues because there's no one to help manage them. Don't get me wrong. There are great people in Section 8. It's usually, in my experience, like the cousin, the boyfriend, the daughter, or whatever else that causes issues. We work only with wraparound services that have case managers that help people find jobs, that help them stay off the streets. And that makes a huge difference. You are actually helping people like change their lives.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, the difference sort of in the two, because that's something that I really, really like, that because they have case managers that's helping them. And so those people know that they have to, that case manager is there for them when times get rough. And also that there are certain things that's going to keep them in that house. And if they step outside of those guidelines, then those services can be taken in most instances.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just like these wraparound services can be for anybody, right? I mean, we had a lady, one more quick story, sorry, Cedric, is we lady Cindy, right? Amazing woman. She'd come to our office and steal our coffee, but the smile on her face the entire time. So by the time she walked out, you're like, what just happened? One of those people. Well, one day, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. So one day, all of a sudden, Cindy wasn't paying her rent, and we knew she had a good job. Oh my gosh, I love Cindy. I don't want to evict her. Well, she found out she had stage 4 lung cancer, started going to treatment. That stuff's poison. She had a good job, but she couldn't even go to her work because she was so sick from the treatment. She had 4 months to live. So now we're looking at, oh my gosh, we give her free rent. Does we evict her? What do we do? Like, how do we help Cindy? So that was a lot of phone calls, a lot of legwork. That was one calling one charity for another charity to another charity to finally found a very, very specific lung cancer charity that was not only able to help her like put food on the table, pay her rent. Yay, landlord. Yeah, we got rent money, but also set her up with legal services. So for the last few months of her life, she didn't have to worry about what she was going to do, where she was going to live, about setting up her affairs. Right. So it's not just people like homeless people or, high risk individuals. This is for everybody.
Yeah. I'm almost speechless on that one because, that is, you guys recognize that this tenant who had been paying their rent, been doing the right things, all of a sudden fell off, and you guys went into solution mode. You found out what the problem was and then went into solution mode to assist her in her time, in one of the worst times of need, for most people with that type of diagnosis, man. Wow. So now, what are some of the biggest challenges in transitioning properties into a high quality, affordable living spaces, and how do you guys overcome those? We know you're gonna like this episode, so please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel so you can be notified when the next episode drops.
I love this question. So I'm the operations guy. So I'm the one that shows up. So I have the same conversation every single time. Buy a property. We usually buy them, value add, maybe opportunistic. We get a little creative, like 40% occupied. So there's going to be issues. So I tell the managers, everybody here is going to hate you for about 6 months. Because all of a sudden you're holding people accountable, right? Pick up after yourself, no trash, pay your rent on time, no loud parties, no, whatever. The smoking out, whatever you're smoking in there all the time. And everybody hates them. And then one day it's just like clicks and you see that all of a sudden this property, like we bought a second chance property in Fort Worth, and they couldn't have any events because people would just get out there and fight, like literally gang warfare out there. Day one, SWAT showed up. I was outside the door yelling at them, just come on out. They're going to break down the door. I have pictures of this. This is a true story. Right. But then 6 months later, all of a sudden we're having community events. We're having pool parties. We're having, people have brought food trucks out there where people can actually spend time together, where we'll see kids out on playgrounds. That's one of our impact scores, are people using the playgrounds because they feel safe to let their kids outside. Right. That's a huge change to the community. But yeah, you show up and you're going to battle for a few months while you're getting rid of people and trying to reshape the culture of the community.
Yeah, I've considered some Actually, I am part of a different type of impact investment out in Vegas. But man, me hearing you with some of these stories, I mean, I'm one of those people. I really want to do the most good for the most amount of people. But man, some of these things you're talking about SWAT showing up. Dude, I'm done. This is my last project right here. That would probably be me, but
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I've seen quite a bit. You do the affordable housing space, you walk some of these units and it's just insane. Insane how people live, insane the eviction specialists is what I call them. They punch every wall and yeah, spray paint, rip cabinets off walls. And, yeah, insane.
Yeah, we won't even have that conversation because my last single family home, I literally just got back last week and it was a squatter situation, and we're not going to have that conversation. Like the worst stuff that a person could do, they did. I don't get it. You were a squatter in my house, but you want to mess my house up. But that's another story for another time. We're here interviewing you.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah. So your military background gave you extensive experience in strategic communication, leadership under pressure. How do you apply those skills when managing the daily operations of Impact Growth Capital?
That's a great question. The military, if you've ever been in the military or if you ever had a corporate job, right? You've had a bad boss. There's some, I don't know if I can swear on here, but there's some assholes out there, right? Mm-hmm. That you just shouldn't be in a leadership position. So you quickly learn what works for people and what doesn't. Reading a lot of books and studying leadership, you realize that different people respond to different things and that they need different leadership styles. And so it kind of goes back to my military career where intelligence, there's a lot of information. It's like the news today. There's so much information thrown at you that you don't even know what's real, what's true. But you got to process that what actually matters and what matters to this property, what matters to these individuals that you're hiring. I mean, at one point we had 46 employees and I hated it because I was HR. I was just dealing with, they said this and this, but you got to learn how to manage those people and manage what matters to every single line item, every single person, every single part of your business.
So in both military and business settings, execution is key, as you and I both know. So how do you ensure that a strategic vision turns into real measurable results?
Okay. Yeah. So this is one of my soapboxes here, right? Asset management. Okay. So another quick story, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Good friend of mine, not my property, but the difference from strategic vision to what people see at each level, right? So they were doing renovation, bought this property, 80% occupied. The contractor was like, it'd be great. My flooring guy does all the units, be cheaper, more efficient. Makes sense. Cool. Paint guy goes after next guy, right? Property manager was like, yeah, we'll kick everybody out and then we'll raise the rents. We'll make more money. This is a brilliant idea. So what happened, this property at 80% went down to 30% because that strategic vision wasn't being met. Also, I don't know how the heck they kicked everybody out in like 30 days. That can't be legal.
It can't be.
Yeah. So the asset manager just wasn't involved enough, right? Weren't doing the weekly meetings, wasn't following the strategic vision of where this property needs to go. Mm-hmm. We all have our own goggles, what we see. Contractor, yeah, makes total sense. Flooring guy does all the floors. Property manager, yeah, let's be faster and we'll get higher rents if we kick everybody out. But in reality, 30% occupancy, you can't pay your mortgage. So now this property almost got foreclosed on because the strategic vision wasn't being met.
Yeah. So what leadership principles have you found to be most effective in both the military and business environments?
Leadership principles. So there's, of course, like meeting people where they're at, right? What do they need from you? Some people love to get micromanaged because it means you care and you're paying attention to what they're doing. Some people just want to take the reins and you guide them, right? It's all about finding the right people, no matter what. People say like you want to be the dumbest person in the room. It's kind of true, but you want to find people that believe in your vision and can take the reins and run with it. So you don't have to sit there and hold their hand the entire time. Yeah, I'm a big believer in finding the right people to help lift you and push the mission forward rather than being the strong CEO, COO that's pulling everybody else with you.
Yeah. I definitely believe in that right there. So impact investing is gaining momentum, as we've already alluded to. What trends do you see shaping the future of this space?
Yeah. Again, impact investing is a big catch-all, right? Like the solar thing, right? Mm-hmm. Awesome. Good for the environment. ESG. I don't even want to start with ESG. Great acronym, environmental, sustainability, governance, but poor execution. My opinion, most things in the government, right? Great ideas, poor execution. So there's a lot of traction with impact investing because, again, this just makes sense right now. There's affordable housing crisis is a huge issue. We need more units. The only way to decrease rents, the only way to decrease prices for homes is by increasing supply. And right now it doesn't make sense. Development's at an all-time low since 2014. Nothing's being built right now across the board. And we're seeing expenses go up. So things are getting harder to pencil. Insurance went up 20% last year across the board for property insurance. So we're seeing more people focus on these affordable housing, and they're sprinkling in, this is impact because of solar, this is impact because of this, but I'm going to these impact events, I'm going to sustainability events, and there's not a lot of people that actually look at it holistically of, how do we actually support the people on the ground? I call it like the ivory tower issue, right? You look at it from a Harvard education, this is going to work. And then the guy on the ground's like, I don't care about this. But the single mom with 2 kids who's struggling to get by doesn't care about your 15-point plan. They care about having something affordable and a way to actually be able to pay their rent and live their lives and be safe.
That's it. You hit the nail right on the head right there, man. We always have this, like you say, this strategic vision of what we want to do, our business plan, so on and so forth. Like you say, that mom with 2 kids that, just want to keep that roof over her head, she doesn't care about all that. Don't care about that. Look, how can you help me to stay in this house and house my family? I'm going to work every day at this minimum wage job, and I'm doing all that I can do, the best I can do. And to me, you guys, and I'm not just saying this because you're here on this podcast, you guys are going about it the right way, finding those, like you say, those wraparound systems and programs out there to assist people. And that's all that a lot of people need in America is just a little hand up, not a handout always. Handout doesn't always work because, it's that whole analogy, I'm gonna mess it up, but I can show you how to fish. I can give you a fish, or I can teach you how to fish, where you can always supply food for yourself, and you guys are doing that where you're assisting them, you're helping them out to keep that roof over their head, and, food in their kids' mouths and so on and so forth, man. I mean, this is, to me, and I've heard it, like I told you, I'm part of an impact program out there in the Las Vegas area as well, which is for that segment that we're helping, it's definitely impact investing. But for this affordable housing crisis that we're going through in America, you guys are going about it the right way, just as far as I can see it. That's my 2 cents on that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, you got to meet people where they're at. What do they actually need? And
Yep.
I think the handout, that's kind of Section 8 thing, right? Is you don't help them actually be successful, and sometimes a handout's necessary. If car broke down, something, okay, cool, we'll help you this time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not every time, but we're going to help you this time to get back on your feet a little bit, and we'll help you find better jobs, and we'll help you get better education. We do a lot of credit building on our properties too, to help them potentially be able to buy a home, right? Again, you find things that they care about, right? Everybody wants to buy a home. Then you have better tenants, better residents, and it's just all the self-looking ice cream cone at that point. Yeah.
Amazing, man. So what innovative strategies are you implementing to ensure your projects have long-term positive effects on the communities you invest in?
But long-term innovative solutions. Oh man, that's a great question. There's a lot of analysis that goes into what we look at for markets, right? So, of course, acquisition sides, a ton of market analysis we look at. Long-term solution, wise, as far as the property, how it's run, how it's maintained. It goes back to meet people where they're at. It's different populations, different, even neighborhoods. The people there need something different, whether it's security, whether it's in Texas, there's a lot of ESL programs out here. In Dallas, for some reason, they have one of the highest drowning rates in Dallas, Texas. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. So we do free swim lessons to kids, but they appreciate it. You got to find out what actually matters to them and then build on it and empower the on-site managers to kind of take a role in this stuff. Because again, if I'm telling everybody how to do this and I buy another property, now my attention is split in half. My asset managers, they do 6-7 properties and 1 or 2 large development projects. They don't have time to hold everybody's hand. So it's finding the right people to stay for the long haul. You got to pay them, right? And or else to keep this system moving forward and keep it sustainable, long term. We're also working with right now, we're doing private public partnerships. We're trying to build some of those out with cities. We're seeing with this government right now, a lot of privatization. Honestly, the biggest slumlord in America is America, right? The housing, they're all disrepair, they're just kind of run down, all the housing. So we're seeing a lot of cities like Chicago 2.0 program. There's a New York program, which I can't think of off the top of my head, which is incentivizing, sometimes subsidizing landlords like us. We're looking at doing this in Las Vegas, actually. So I think we should talk about this, to come in and actually take over their housing. So manage it, run it, and do it more effectively. And some of that's tax abatements. There's a lot of different things they can do for city-wise. But then that just makes it sustainable. Because what we're seeing is, like, for the Chicago 2.0 program, they literally say this: hey, these properties that are run down or empty, we're not getting any tax dollars out of these. So if somebody else comes in and runs this, maintains this, makes it a nicer place, now they get tax dollars out of it. So it just makes sense for cities to work with private people. And it makes sense for us to kind of run these more effectively and put some capital to make these clean, safe, affordable places.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, you see a lot of those programs. Yeah, and especially in the major cities throughout America, because yeah, like you say, you're not getting any tax dollars off of that house just sitting there standing. So hey, throw something your way, go in there, fix it up. Now it's back on the roll. It's on the tax roll. So yeah. But what was one of the toughest lessons you learned in your transition from military service to entrepreneurship?
One of the toughest lessons I've learned. You're going to fail. You're going to fail often. So somebody asked me this question the other day, that, hey, if I told you you have to get 100 no's before you raise $1 million, how fast would you get 100 no's? Well, it's like, probably today. I just start calling everybody I know, So it's not bad to fail, right? Just get it out of the way early. Like, just fail early, fail often, and keep moving forward, especially those people that are kind of waiting to take that next step. Right. I tell people all the time in my company, I want to build the plane while it's flying. Right. I don't want to sit here and the blueprints, the most beautiful plane in the world, and figure out everything and then never launch. Just go, fail, figure out what you did wrong, tweak, and then build this plane while it's in the air. Don't wait. Take the next step.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So for veterans or professionals looking to transition into real estate or impact investing, what advice would you offer?
Get started today. If you're not going to networking events, if you're not talking to people, if you're not getting deal flow, talking to brokers, right now is a great time to buy, because we're seeing pretty much the market bottom out everywhere. Yeah, lenders are a little wary about lending right now, but you can find some steals of deals today that's going to pay off massively in the future. Don't wait. It's never a perfect time. If you wait for a perfect time, you'll never start.
Yep. That is so, so true. You will never start, because no one could have told me that in 21, end of 20, 21 and 22, that those were not the best times. You couldn't have told me that. And if you didn't get started then, well, I'm being outbid, I'm being outpriced, I'm going to wait until the interest rate goes up and this and that happened. Now you go and talk to that person now, like, okay, did you get started? Well, the interest rates are too high. But wait a minute. When I spoke to you a couple of years ago, you said, that you were going to wait until the interest rate went up. Now they're up and you're not going. Just get going. Yeah. I totally agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. So if you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice before starting Impact Growth Capital, what would that be?
Spend more time finding the right people instead of hiring people right away. So especially in the beginning, you don't have money to pay for the right people, right?
Yep.
But it's hard to let people go. And it's the skill, you develop over time. So you get stuck with these people for a long time, and you're doing them a disservice too. They can probably do better, have better opportunities somewhere else, by keeping them along. You're just wasting your time in. So spend more time vetting people, sell the vision. You'll be surprised how many people will take a pay cut to work for the vision of actually building out and creating something absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So you kind of briefly, I think that was before we even began taping, you were talking about the fund you guys have and a project that you guys have there in Las Vegas. Well, what's next for Impact Growth Capital?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do webinar every Thursday. We talk about the current fund we're raising. It's our first fund we've ever done about 20 something syndications, AVs, institutional partners. This will be our first fund that we're working on. It's going to be located in Las Vegas, working on those P3s we talked about earlier with the city. develop projects focusing on Class C apartments, affordable housing. Right now, we're leaving it open for retail investors for another few more weeks, and then it's going to be moved up to certified purchasers only. So it is a pretty amazing opportunity, especially when we talk about all the grants that could be involved. Happy to talk about this more in person, but yeah, it's an absolutely amazing opportunity.
Love it, love it, love it. Yeah. So now, how do you give back to the military community?
Yes, work with a lot of. We work with a lot of military people coming out of the military. They're retiring, looking forward how to do this. We've done a lot of coaching for that. Right now, we do it on a case-by-case basis. We don't have a coaching company anymore, but also we work with a lot of veterans. We've known people that didn't come back or didn't come back well. So we work with a lot of different groups, Salvation Army, to name a few, that work with homeless veterans or just ones that need a little more assistance to give them assistance for finding jobs or mental health. And we have them stay at our property. And so big passion project of mine. It's also one of our tenets of our charity that we run is to help veterans that need it.
Wait, what is one belief you had as a beginning investor that has turned out to be false, but may be holding people back from taking the leap into investing?
One thing I thought before that was ended up being false. You don't need to be the expert. You don't need more information. You just don't. Simple is king, right? Every single person I've talked to, every big investor I've talked to wants to come in with hundreds of thousands of dollars. They don't care about the investment. They want to know who you are. So be simple, present what you're doing, know that, but you don't need to know every single detail to get started. Just get started.
Yeah, I like that one. So is there any person, whether real estate related or not, that has led to your success?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go back to my dad. So he grew up kind of poor, right? A lower class. I was a red mud baby, is what I call it, because of all the red mud in Oklahoma. Yeah, literally remember taking a barn, some wood panels off a barn, throwing it in a creek, the dirtiest creek you've ever seen, and then like just playing in the creek. That was my childhood, taking basketball straws. But my dad always had a saying, said, "We're not white trash, we're just poor." So, and as a kid, you don't know you're poor. You don't care. You're just having fun playing in the creek, watching out for snakes. But that saying always meant to me, we're not white. There's a difference between white trash and being poor, is that don't accept your circumstances. No matter where you're at, always push forward and always look for that next opportunity. Yeah. So I got something I've taken with me throughout. Never going to be satisfied with where we're at, how many properties we own, how much impact we can have, because there's more we can do.
I never realized I was poor, growing up, because everybody around me, we were the same. So it was kind of like, that's just what it is, Yeah, you'd see those people, like you said, with the nice, pretty F-150 pickup truck, or whatever. Right. You would see that somewhere, that nice, shiny vehicle, but everybody around you had the same type of vehicle. I grew up dirt road, and whatnot. So yeah, everybody's car was always dirty and, it's older, but that's what it was, But I like that saying, that you said about your father. That's hilarious. Well, Jesse, it has been a blast having you as our guest today. And as we close out, please tell our listeners where we can learn more about you, get in touch with you, and learn about all the fabulous things you have going on right now.
Awesome, Cedric. Yeah. Again, appreciate you. Thank you for letting me come on the podcast. If anybody wants to reach out and learn more about us, impactgrowthcap.com. You also find me on LinkedIn, Jesse Sells. I'm just now starting my marketing campaign on Instagram as well at the Jesse Sells.
Nice. And awesome. Jesse, again, I want to thank you for your time today and all the wisdom you've provided to my listeners is greatly appreciated. And I want to thank you, our fans, for tuning in to the Service to Syndication podcast, where we want to provide value to you in your real estate investing business. Please tune in to our next episode, where we will interview another fantastic investing professional. See you next time. Thanks for listening to the Service to Syndication podcast. We want you to know that we love and appreciate your support, and we are grateful about being a part of your journey to becoming a successful real estate entrepreneur. Please share this episode with a friend who you think will get a lot out of what you just heard. Send it to someone who you know is interested in real estate and dreams of having it all and being the best they can be in all areas of life. And if this was really valuable, share it on your social media stories and timelines. Thank you for watching and listening. Now go be great.